Welcome to the Coaching Book Club podcast, where books don't just teach, they transform. I'm Christy Stuber, and I'm here with my friend and co-host, Ken McKellar. Every episode invites you to move from reflection to real-world coaching presence, one page at a time. So whether you're walking the dog, making your morning coffee, or between coaching calls, we're so glad you're here. And today we're exploring Strong Ground by Brené Brown, a book that reframes leadership as an embodied practice. It's about building strength from the inside out, not through intensity or urgency, but through consistency, clarity, and groundedness. And so in this episode, we're going to offer a grounding overview of the book, share a few of the key takeaways that stirred something in us, and reflect on how these ideas are showing up in our coaching. So whether you've read the book or are just listening in, there's something here for you. So, hey, Ken.
You know, sometimes you wait for an album to come out, album that's a record. Uh, you know what? I'm not going to try to educate the people. Google it.
Go on,
And there's
Grandpa.
and or there's a movie that's coming out. You're like, okay, it's coming out. Like you're in August and it's coming out on Christmas, and you can't wait for it. Yeah, Brené Brown, she fits that when her books or her works are coming out. It's like, I can't wait till that book comes out. And she did not disappoint.
I agree. It's a great book. And what I really love about the book is about the physical embodiment she talks about with the book. She, says that she gets injured playing pickleball, and her physical therapist told her that they have to get her stable first. It's got to focus on her core and her grounding. And I think about my own development as a coach and as a human and how much I've learned from my physical practices that I've done, including my yoga practice. Well, primarily my yoga practice that I've done for 20 years. And what I can feel in my body and what it's been teaching me about myself and my being. When am I overdoing something? When am I comparing something? What's going on? And in this book, she talks a ton about sports metaphors. And so, of course, I had to ask you, as our resident athlete, or at least team sport athlete, uh, I'm just wondering what landed for you as you think about your football career and your development and what you see now as a coach and human developer.
Well, as first of all, I felt like she sat down and she said to herself, to her people, I'm writing a book for Ken McKellar. I'm going to talk about pickleball. I'm going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, which is my favorite. I don't know. I feel like that's her favorite team too. The way she talked about the tush push, right? She talked about like the agony of defeat. But right, I don't know if you remember that, but I remember the wide world of sports. I mean, that was we showed up for that. Howard Cosell was a commentator. We're gonna know, and we knew the agony of defeat, man, right? That oh man, she talked about that. And then she talked about like she referenced my favorite people. She brings in Adam Grant. She wrote this book for Ken McKellar, and I'm glad that the rest of the world has an opportunity to leverage what she did for me. Oh my goodness. Okay, so no, I really, you're talking about teams, you're talking about relationships, you're talking about the good and the bad. I mean, some of like Susan Kane's work, right, and Bittersweet showed up in this. I mean, there's a parallel between the two. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff that you can work with and you can take with in the coaching community and the leadership community, and guess what? And family as well too.
Mhm. That was actually one of my takeaways from this book was that she talks about leadership, but everything she mentions is also about coaching. And so it's making me think differently that coaching is leadership. And that actually leadership could be anything. To your point, you could be a leader in your family. You could be a leader in your community. But you don't need a title that says that you're a leader. It's how you show up. that is what has people following you. Uh,
Yeah,
mhm.
I would even say you are a leader in these different areas of your life, whether it's family, whether it's church. You know, you run the Glee Club, right? You may show up as a leader there. Whether it's at the YMCA, you know what? I do the volunteer for the 8 and 9 year old volleyball, right? So I'm showing up as a leader there. You got these little 8 and 9 year olds run up to me and say, "What do I do now? What do I do now?" Right? So are you leading? Right? How are you leading? Right? Are you leading with? Or are you leading in some other way? So yeah, it's woo, let's get started. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's get started with this thing.
Well, there are so many takeaways, and it probably is a good idea to let our listeners know that this is going to be a two-part episode. It is our first two-parter because there's so many things to talk about. So I'm going to try to pick one of my top takeaways from this book, and we'll go over probably three in this episode, and we'll do some more in the second one. Um, Let me think about, I think one of my takeaways is compensation muscles versus core strength.
Mhm.
And so when we talked about her having an injury in pickleball and going to her trainer and her trainer assessing her in different areas and saying, okay, you are overusing your big muscles and you are not strong in your core and strong in your smaller muscles, which means when you're tired or stressed, you are more likely to utilize those compensation muscles, the big ones that you use all the time. And by doing that, you are more likely to continue getting injured because you're not fully balanced and formed, particularly with your core and your grounding. And so I think about that like, oh, when am I overusing my strengths? If I know that my strengths are learning and input and connection and relationship, when I'm tired in a coaching session, or if my client does something that creates some insecurity in me, what is my habitual response? Is it to lean in and try to take care of my client because relationship is a strength of mine, rather than sitting back and letting them come up with their own answers? Is it collecting a lot of information? Oh, tell me more stories. Give me more context because I want input instead of, I don't need all that input. I need to know what my client thinks about what's going on. So for me, it's that awareness of where am I coaching from in this moment? Am I coaching from a default habitual mode because I'm tired, or am I fully centered and able to stay grounded in curiosity for my client?
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points. A lot of good points that relate to some of the changes of the new ICF competencies. It speaks to how are you showing up for yourself and for the client. So I get that. I get that. I also like that first chapter part two where she talks about the pickleball, just because I am a master at watching pickleball.
Now, watching pickleball.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not there yet playing it, but I can watch a good pickleball game, and I can tell you, I can commentate from the side. I also like what you talked about in terms of, you know, recovering, right, and repetition, and coming from the perspective of coach development, right? I'm supporting a lot of people and leveraging new ways of thinking as a coach through the mentoring and supervision. And what comes up a lot is that we let's remember that the way to get better is to repeat over and over and over as far as coaching. The more we do, the more we have an opportunity to learn. but also taking those breaks and reflecting on what we have learned or what we can do differently is kind of like building that muscle. I mean, me riding a bike every single day all out doesn't give the muscle time to recover, right? So me doing coaching and not stepping back and talking and saying, okay, what's working, what's not working, doesn't give me time as a coach to really leverage growth opportunities.
You also just said a lot. So I'm going to say my next takeaway is kind of a combination of a few of mine, um, which is that transformation, especially in coaching and coach development, is iterative. I think this goes along with what you said about repetition, right? That it is slow, it is non-linear, it can be uncomfortable, it requires discipline. And I think about my journey that I'm on still towards my MCC and how, you know, I originally thought, oh, I take one training course, I get two recordings, and I'm done. And to go to mastery, it needs to be a process that has all the things you said, repetition, listening to recordings. Where are other choice points on this recording that I could start training my brain to notice? Um, it's non-linear. It's not like I do one session and the next one's gonna be amazing and the next one's even more amazing. Some days it's really great. Some days it's like, oh, that didn't quite do it. And I've said this before on this podcast, but I don't think I can say it enough. And she mentions it in the book that mastery, this is a quote, mastery is about being a student of the game. So mastery is not about just skill development, just perfecting the competencies, but it's understanding that everything needs to shift inside of you. And that's all learning process. So for me, as I mentioned, learning is one of my strengths. And so when I reframed my journey as a learning process, there was more joy in it. More joy then led to me having more energy to be able to be comfortable with things being slow and nonlinear. And I should say comfort is maybe a big word because it's still uncomfortable times, but I have more energy to be able to ride those waves as they come along and not get pulled under by them.
Yeah, you said a mouthful because I thrive on learning, and I'm looking for every opportunity to see how can I do that a little bit different, or if I don't say that, or this author said this, that's some bull jive. Let me test it out. Let me test it out because when I test it out, I'm like, oh, that does feel good. That does feel good, and that works for me. So, man, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling out. What else? What else for you?
Well, I think the last one I would say is this idea of grounded confidence. And we're going to talk about this more deeply in the second episode. But Brené describes this concept of grounded confidence as being rooted in self-awareness, courage, and practice, and that it's not performance. And that was important for me to remember again in my coach development journey, and not just MCC, but the whole journey, right? Two things. One is it's not performance. It's not an act that I'm putting on. That grounded confidence and mastery and coaching comes from within. So it is built from within through my self-awareness, through my willingness to practice over and over again, even when it feels hard, for my courage to listen to my recordings and to get feedback on my recordings, even when I don't want to. And that there's never an end point. Just because I get the shiny pin that I can put on my lapel when I go to a conference that says MCC doesn't mean I've arrived anywhere. That this journey is only continuing to integrate more and more of these ways of being into me. Mr. MCC, what do you think about that? Have you arrived?
Well, no, I haven't arrived, but that shiny pin does mean something.
Hmm.
That tiny pin it's that may not say you arrived as I define it, but you did something. You put you put forth the hard work.
Mhm.
You looked at your coaching. You listened to your recordings. You got your mentors. You 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 reflected. I'm talking about you looked at your own personal shadows en route to elevating your coaching. So the MCC, the shiny pen for the MCC, is shiny for different people for different reasons. So you got that shiny pen, where you'll get that shiny pen, and it will represent all the steps and stages that you took to shift how you look at coaching and how you look at who you want to be as a coach. And I'm thinking this is what B. Brown is saying in her work is there is that bittersweet of wow, these moments that hey, I made a difference in people's lives, right? And then there's moments that man, I'm just not getting it. I just don't see it. I'm not seeing how do I establish a coaching agreement, like the measurement. Why is that important for me? And how's that? I just right. And then at the same time, there's that yes, because I did the work. I made a difference in this person. Yes, I did it. So let's not poo poo on that shiny pin. I ain't gonna let you do that because hey, people are going around wearing those little shiny pins on a lapel, whether it's MCC, PCC, or ACC, that says, "Hey, I did the work."
Yes. That to me is different than I did the work and I'm done, or I've done the work and I'm continuing to do the work. It's like, I'm in Pittsburgh, City of Champions. We have how many Super Bowl rings? Anyway, you get a ring because you had a great season. Everything came together for you. It all worked. Amazing. But you're not the champion the next year. You start over again. And we don't start over as coaches necessarily, but it's not a thing where you hit it and you're done. And that's I think the point I'm trying to make is yes, it's absolutely a sign of all the dedication, the commitment, the effort put into the development of yourself. And it's a continuing journey because we're different. The day after we get the pin, we're a different person and the world's different.
I agree with you 100%. Like the Eagles, who are the current champions. Thank you very much. All right, go Birds, go Birds, right? They can't stop there. There's a new season right now, right? And we got to put in the work to continue at looking at can we get another championship? So when we're done, we can look back and say, hey, this is the landscape of my work, right? And I'm hope when I'm done as a coach that I can look at it and there will be the seeds of other coaches out there that's doing amazing, phenomenal things. And I can look back and say, shoot, man, that that's some good stuff.
Maybe I'm just saying this because we're recording this on a Monday and my team played Sunday Night Football last night and apparently lost. I went to bed before the game was over. And I'm trying to like put that into perspective that we all have those coaching conversations where we think, oh, that could have been better. Oh, I could have done something different. Um, Thankfully, ours are not publicized in front of millions of people. And that what you said at the end of whenever we finish all of this, we can look back at everything we've done and see it all in that bigger context. Gave me chills as you were talking about it. So, Ken, what are you going to take away from what we've talked about so far and apply to your personal coaching practice?
Well, I mean, this is a wonderful journey. Right? Part of the journey is having an opportunity to have conversations with you and just reference the many different authors that we get a chance to spend time with through their literature. It reminds me that this is where we are is where we are. And I have the opportunity to keep on looking at how to do things differently, how to do things better, but I also at the same time how to spring off of things that I felt short on or things that I want to change. I mean, shoot, coaches, supervisors, and mentors. I want to say to you, thank you for not stopping. Thank you for not giving up. I just want to thank you for having the courage to keep on, even though it didn't turn out like you wanted to. I'm going to thank you for your difficult days, your hard days that you still opened up and found the light to move forward continue on this journey.
I'm ready to take the field. You got me fired up. Yeah. Well, let me just share one quick takeaway for me, and then we'll close out for today. But although I feel bad saying this because you were just such a rallying cry that you just made. Um, for me, though, I think the takeaway is going to be something very small. Although I'm pausing as I'm saying this because I'm thinking about presence and pocket presence that she talks about that is important for quarterbacks who play American football. Um, what I'm noticing and I want to focus on is where can I do less in my coaching? And in order to do less, how can I get grounded enough to feel comfortable doing less? Not jumping in to rescue my client, not jumping in to do something, ask more questions, but to just let things be. Um, and what you said about mentors and supervisors, I really appreciate because that's where I learn and see my ability to do less is through sharing a recording with my mentor or listening to it myself. And also through supervision, where I can then figure out why do I do this? Like, why am I continuing to jump in here? What's going on? So thanks for bringing um, the full environment of coaching into our episode today. So that wraps up our conversation on part one of Strong Ground. From grounded confidence to joyful discipline, we hope this episode reminded you that coaching isn't about performing mastery, it's about practicing it. So you're not behind, you're becoming one breath, one session, one moment at a time. And if you'd like to take today's reflection deeper and get CCE credit while you're at it, we've created a book guide and reflection tracker for this book. You can download it in the show notes. You can get the credit that you deserve for reading with intention and growing. And if you enjoyed this episode, follow the Coaching Book Club podcast on your favorite platform and connect with us on LinkedIn, where we share weekly coaching prompts and behind the scenes reflections. And if you have a favorite book we haven't covered, send it our way. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, be gentle with yourself, and happy coaching.